Hi everybody, Tex-Mex here. Thanks for joining me for another video. Today we're going to take a look at two beautiful 357 Magnum revolvers. Now this is my Colt Trooper Mark III. I made a video on this earlier. This was a firearm that was inherited by a friend, and they ended up passing the firearm on to me, which I'm very privileged to have. It's a beautiful firearm, and on that test I shot this pistol very, very well. It's an amazing, amazing revolver, and I talk about the history of the Colt Troopers and the Mark III in that video a little bit in case you're interested. But today I have access to a very close friend of mine lent me his Smith and Wesson Model 28, and this is the Highway Patrolman. So we have the Patrolman versus the Trooper here. And now I'll go ahead and on the screen I'll put some of the specifications for both of these firearms. But very briefly, since I already made a video on the Trooper Mark III, as far as the Model 28, it is an N-frame Smith and Wesson revolver in 357 Magnum. They were produced between 1954 and 1986. And these fine revolvers were used by many police departments, including Texas Department of Public Safety and the U.S. Border Patrol. Now this one here is a 4-inch barrel version, but they also make it in 6-inch, and it has an adjustable rear sight and a Bauman front sight. And this one specifically here is the Model 28-2, and based on the serial number, I didn't find the exact production date, but most likely it is a very early 80s production. So what I want to do first is I'm going to test their single and double action trigger against each other, and then I will put some rounds down range. I'm here at about 25 yards from targets. I've got targets set up down there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take rested shots with both of these firearms in single action and see how well they group, a couple of different brands of 357 ammunition. And then I'm going to try the double action trigger on the steel and see how well I hit the steel. Let's go ahead and get out the Wheeler trigger gauge and see how they stack up against each other. So I have the trigger gauge here ready to go. Let's go ahead and we will try the Smith and Wesson Model 28 first. Let's try the double action and then we'll try the single action. So I'm trying to hold this revolver in a way that I'm not touching the cylinder, so I'm not causing any sort of friction. Double action pull, 8 pounds, 12.6 ounces. Let's do it 3 times. Ooh, lighter, 8 pounds, 10.5 ounces. That's a very light double action pull. And the last one, 8 pounds, 3.5 ounces. So yeah, it seems to be closer to 8 pounds. It gave us an average of 8 pounds, 8.9 ounces. Now let's try the single action pull on this revolver. Ooh, 2 pounds, 6.1 ounces. Very light. 2 pounds, 12.4 ounces. Once again, very light. Nice trigger, indeed. 2 pounds, 7.5 ounces. So very, very consistent. And that gave us an average of 2 pounds, 8.9 ounces on the Model 28 single action trigger pull. So that's very, very nice. And I had checked them beforehand to make sure they're empty. I'm sorry, I usually do that on camera as well. So let me do that for this one, just so you can see that it is certainly empty. One thing I have noticed is the end frame is bigger than the Colt Trooper Mark III. I don't know if you can see it there from the video, but this is a much beefier frame. It seems like the Colt Trooper Mark III is probably somewhere between a K and an N frame as far as Smith and Wesson revolvers go. And obviously this Model 28 is an N frame. So it's a little bit smaller, a little bit lighter. But let's try the double action on the Colt. Let me clear out the memory there. 8 pounds, 15.1 ounces. 8 pounds, 0.6 ounces. And our last one, 8 pounds, 0.7 ounces. So very consistent for a total of 8 pounds, 5.7 ounces as far as an average. Now let us try its single action. 2 pounds, 0.8 ounces. 3 pounds, 12.6 ounces. Wow, it didn't feel like that much difference. I wonder if I pulled it wrong. Let's try that again. 4 pounds, 3.8 ounces. No, it seems to be getting heavier every time I shoot it. Let me see here. Yeah, everything seems right here. Let's try that again. 4 pounds, 6.1 ounces. Yeah, so it'd give us an average of 3 pounds, 5.7. So much heavier single action trigger on the Trooper. That's sort of surprising to me. It didn't feel that bad when I shot it last time. But it may be that the Smith and Wesson has more rounds through it. May just be a difference in the hammer springs between the two. They both have very similar double action weights, but single action, the Model 28 has the much lighter trigger and goes for the win on that one. So let's go ahead and set up our target. Well, the target's set up, but let's get the camera rolling. I'm going to use 2 different types of ammo, Federal 357 Magnum 158 grain jacketed soft point, and Blazer 158 grain jacketed hollow point. I do have some other weights of ammunition. I'm just going to stick to these because that's typically what you would fire out of these pistols. I mean, you can fire 125 or you know, lighter 110, or even go heavier 180, but I think standard 158 is about right. So I'm going to shoot both of these brands through both of these revolvers, see how they group down there in single action, and then we'll have a little fun at the end and shoot some steel and see how the double action trigger feels. So we are starting with the Federal 158 grain jacketed soft point. I'm going to shoot the Smith and Wesson first at the target on the right. Let's see how well we do. Wow, it's hitting low and to the left, I think. Yes, way low and to the left. It's grouping well, but I think my friend has this sighted in for something lighter. You know, I should have asked him. I probably should have asked him. Ooh, it's a light single action trigger. Almost catches you off guard. Is that 6? That was 6. Okay. Well, it's hitting low. Or maybe it just doesn't like this particular ammunition. I'll end up shooting the Blazer through it as well. But for now, let's move on to the Colt Trooper. Ooh, same thing. Single action. 25 yards. Not even sure where I hit. I'm hitting center high. I'm trying to cut the front red target, well, the red bullseye of the target. I'm trying to cut it in half with the sights. Oof. I think I may have pulled the shot before that one. Ooh. Is that 6? Let's see here. That's 6. I never monkeyed with even the sights on the Trooper because it seems to be hitting about right. A little bit high. The Smith and Wesson's hitting way low, but it may be that he has it sighted in for 125 grain. But now let's try the Blazer and see how it does. Now we're starting with the Blazer. You know, and truth be told, I probably should have done this at 10 to 15 yards. I may be overestimating my ability to shoot these revolvers, and by maybe is I'm definitely overstating it. But I wanted to at least put it out to a distance to make it a bit of a challenge. I think I'm still hitting low and to the right. Ooh, did that one go to near the bullseye? I'm really trying not to jerk it. And really, it's easier with this one because the single action trigger is seriously light. There we go. I think it likes the Blazer ammo a lot more. Was that 6 already? Yeah, that was 6. Okay. And now 6 rounds out of the Colt Trooper. Highwayman and the Trooper are head and head here. We'll say they have a good little kick. Oof. That was 6. Okay. Boy, oh boy. Let's go take a look at our target. And here we are at our target. We got a little bee down there buzzing around. Are you a Africanized bee, little guy? Yeah, I'll try not to bother him. We have to worry about those here in Central and South Texas. My father-in-law riding his tractor has been attacked by them a couple of times. So, anyway, the Smith and Wesson did well. It seemed to hit the, and I have to go back and look at the camera because I can't see from that distance that well, but it looks like it hit the Federal a little further down and to the left, and then the Blazer started getting a little bit closer. As far as the Trooper went, it hit them both around the same area. And personally, I think I shot the, you know, group-wise, they're probably about the same. This one's more on target than this one is, but that's easily solved by adjusting the sights. They both have adjustable rear sights, so you can adjust them if you want to. I also painted the front sight on the Trooper because, well, you know, it's my firearm now, so I can paint the front sight. And the front sight on my friends is black, and it's a little harder to distinguish. It's still not bad, but obviously, I mean, I've got a thing for painting my front sights. It really does help me stay on target. But all in all, they both did very, very well. The Trooper and the Highway Patrolman are they're brothers in arms, and they're doing great. So now let's finish off this video by we're going to shoot some steel. I'm just going to load in 6 rounds of each on both and see if I can dump all 6 rounds quickly into the metal steel target using their double action trigger. I got 6 rounds in the Colt Trooper. I'm going to shoot the Trooper first. Just going to try to squeeze off some smooth double action shots at the steel. Whew! Does kick quite a bit, but it feels good. It's a very, very smooth revolver. And now that the steel has stopped swinging, we're going to try that with the Smith and Wesson. You can even see on the cylinder that there's more gapping between the rounds. It's a thicker cylinder as well. Although the grip on the Smith and Wesson fits my hand better. I think the grip on the Colt's a little thick. But let's see how smoothly I can pull these double action rounds. Oh yeah. Nice and smooth. I will say the weight of the Smith and Wesson tames that recoil a little bit more, and I do like the grip on it a little bit better. Well, as always, this was a fun video. These are 2 beautiful revolvers, a lot of fun to shoot. The end frame, as I said, is bigger than the Trooper. I mean, you can see here on the cylinder, look at the size of that cylinder versus the size of the Trooper cylinder. You can see the gaps between the different bores, the different chambers there inside of the cylinder are much narrower in the Trooper than they are in the Highway Patrolman, and also the Smith and Wesson. It's an end frame, so it is generally a larger framed revolver than the Trooper. The Trooper is a slightly smaller frame. Like I said, I think it's not really as small as a K frame. It's probably a little bigger than a K frame, but not nearly the size of an N frame. That being said, I like the grips on the Smith and Wesson a little bit more. I don't know what it is about these Colt Trooper grips. They're a little thick for me personally. I don't know if it's that they flare out too much on the bottom and they're just a little too wide, but these grips are a little more comfortable for me. But that's probably easily solved. I'm sure there are aftermarket grips that I can get for this one. I like the look of the original grips, so that's why I've been hesitant to change them out. But anyway, the Trooper versus the Highway Patrolman. Highway Patrolman's a little chunkier, so he's maybe hitting the donuts a little bit more. But they're both amazing revolvers. Both shoot single action great, both shoot double action well. Certainly wonderful revolvers for anybody's collection. And fun revolvers to shoot. I mean, if you shoot these in 38 special, I'm sure they're very, very smooth, but my whole test here wanted to revolve around, no pun intended, 357 Magnum. So anyway, as always, thanks for watching another fun video. I hope you're out there staying safe, having fun, and I will see you in the next video.